Welcome back to Grace by Rain, a podcast about the beauty in life. I'm your host, Elaine Shircliff. Welcome back, everybody. It's been a little bit of time. Surgery went well. Um, Recovery was tough. First of all, just a little update. I talked about it on the last few episodes that I was really worried and scared about the fact that they were supposed to break my nose while they were doing my sinus surgery. And I was sad because my grandma and I have the same nose. Um, but they didn't have to break it. They were able to get in without breaking my nose. They did um, straighten my septum. So I no longer have I don't have a big bump here and it's more straight. So I have to push my glasses up a lot more because of it. So if you see me pushing my glasses during this, that's why. I definitely need to get some new glasses to make up for that. But surgery went really well. Recovery was tough because I did not realize how much energy that I would not have for months after. Also, with the changing of seasons and, living in Northeast Ohio in the end of summer, beginning of fall, and all through fall, the pressure goes up, down, up, down, up, down. And while I'm trying to adjust to having new drains in my sinuses, um, it's tough because then there's a lot of pressure and I can really feel that pressure now as opposed to before I had just been kind of immune to it because I never had those drains. So it's been an interesting recovery. I did struggle with a few things, like my face is still swollen. There are times when it's not as swollen, but it's still swollen, and that won't really go away until about 6 months after the surgery, they said. So probably around like February, March. The swelling in my face will start to go down a little bit more. So I'm really looking forward to that. Also, my voice changed a little bit. Part of that's because I can take time while I'm speaking because I can breathe, which is nice. So I don't have to rush through what I'm saying. And when I'd rush through before, I would talk like this and be like really high pitched. Um, so it's kind of interesting to me to hear, I guess, my voice again. My voice has kind of been in this range um, when I was younger. So um, I like that. I know it's not a big change here on Grace by Rain because I forced myself to talk slower and I cut the times I had to take big breaths between sentences. But now I don't have to do that. So that's actually pretty great. So we're all good there. Because of that though, I did get behind on the episodes and that's fine. That's okay. We live, we learn. I accidentally overpromised and underdelivered, which was something I talked about. I think it was the very last episode we did for content creators. So it was a perfect example right there of over promising and under delivering and how we don't want to do that. We want to under promise and over deliver. Or, promise right at the level and give exactly what you said you would give. So today it is episode 5 of Advice for Aspiring Journalists and Content Creators. This one is something I really um, try to focus on a lot with people because it's something that traps content creators and journalists online is trolls, right? And you don't always see the best of yourself when You respond to trolls, especially when they like get under your skin. They like dig, dig, dig until you explode. So today's episode is avoiding the trolls the best that you can. I used to be like, we should talk to everybody all the time. La la la. But you know what? The trolls have gotten extremely bad over over the years on social media, in the comments of articles, and there's less people in the mentions now saying good things and more people who you don't even know who are hiding behind a fake profile photo who are saying awful things. So it is tough to not respond, to not bite when they throw out the bait. So I totally understand that because I am human. I have clapped back in a mean way multiple times. Um, but here's the thing, trolls are everywhere. They're in every aspect of your life. It's not always online. It can be in person, especially if like you work in retail. You know, the trolls are there. They are there to troll you. But you know what else is in our lives as well is good, kind people who genuinely are interested in your work and who you are as a person. And you have a choice every day on who you give your precious time and resources to. Okay. I used to be like anti-block, right? But you know what? Sometimes you gotta block. Although now a few of the platforms blocking just means they can't interact with you. It doesn't mean they can't see what you post. So blocking isn't so great anymore. So you don't have to respond to every troll that ends up in your mentions or when someone retweets them and it goes viral or even if they just show up in your timeline. You can just ignore them. You can mute them, move on with your life, say a little prayer for them. Anything that you need to do to just get them out of your mind and out of your sight. And this is hands down, easier said than done. Way easier said than done. Trolls have a way, like I said, of getting under your skin, um, or beating you down until you snap or have to defend yourself. And then that's when things get dicey, right? Um, if you have to interact with trolls, try to keep these things in mind, okay? One, before responding, try to take a moment, sit back, take a breath. Then try your hardest to respond with kindness. You can tell someone they are wrong with love. You can disagree with someone in kindness. You don't have to match someone's unkind energy. More than half the time, it only makes you feel worse. It does not just make them feel bad, it actually makes you feel worse. And a lot of times it does ignite the situation. And again, I will remind you and myself that we are all human. We can only take so much hate being flung at us before it drags us down. Okay. Like I've said before, I've clapped back at the haters. If you know me, you know the sass is strong with me. There are days that I wake up and I'm like, I'm gonna put on my sassy pants. But life is so much better, so much better as a content creator, as a journalist, just in general, when you don't throw fuel on the fire. In the beginning, if you do this all the time, in the beginning, it's going to be tough. I know. I used to, I used to push back and clap back a lot. um, two, okay. The other thing to remember is what's called the 5-to-1 rule. I learned about the 5 to 1 rule when I had Ryan Virtue on the show in season two. It's season two, episode 4, to be exact. I'll put the link in the show notes. Unfortunately, it's not on YouTube. I wasn't doing YouTube at that time, so sorry. But in this episode, Ryan told me about how he uses the 5 to 1 rule in coaching. So for every negative he found in a player, he found 5 positives. So first, I integrated that into my prayer life, which I also did an episode on. But for I would thank God for 5 positives in my life that day, and then ask Him for help on the one negative. And then I integrated a variation of this 5 to 1 rule into my social media life. For every troll or negative comment I respond to, I make sure to respond to 5 other people who are being kind or positive towards me. And if I can't find that, I scroll through my timeline and leave a positive comment on someone's um, someone's stuff, whether I know them or not. I will do this to 5 different people. So if I can't immediately find someone to say, like, hey, thank you for your support, I really appreciate you, thank you, and have a conversation with them, then I go and I just scroll, right? I just scroll until I'm like, positive comment, like, oh, I love your dress. Oh my goodness, I love the way that you like the way that your brain works when it comes to this. And I really just encourage people. It also helped my heart in the process, and it helped me view things in a much more positive light. And I actually like even try not to respond to the trolls at all now. And instead, if I've thought about responding to the trolls, I instead go and direct my energy towards kind people or people who clearly need to be lifted up. Other content creators, or if someone's like, hey, I'm going through a rough time, can I use some prayers? And they're like, yes, I will pray for you. Um, Anything like that, like sharing their GoFundMe's, just little things that can help someone mentally, physically, spiritually, all of that. Like we need to help each other um, within our means, obviously. Okay, we have boundaries. We don't all have money. We don't all have time. We don't all have the mental space, right? Um, but like even commenting on someone's cute dog and being like, "Oh my gosh, your dog is so cute." You're being kind. Just keep that kindness going. And I will say it really helps cleanse the timeline. And after a while, it helps clear up that mental space. And you're not thinking about all the people who are saying bad things to you. You're like, "Woo, look at this nice person. Oh, I love them. Look at their outfit." I mean, you won't sound exactly like me. I'm a little dramatic. Um, but I thoroughly suggest that because the trolls can be too much. They can take up your mind space. And then when it comes to writing or creating content, like you can't create when you have all of that just sitting in your brain. You have to find a way to like let that go. And the best way is to reframe how you're looking at things. So the trolls are coming at you, right? And if you can't find the positive in your mentions, you just take a step back and go and find other people full of that you can spread some light on, even with a simple like through, or giving them heart emojis, or just something that can help reframe that for you. And yeah, there are times when you need to be like, hey, leave me alone. Like, I have a boundary, you are crossing the boundary, and that is okay. Like, it is okay to say something to the trolls, okay? But it's when you feed the trolls a lot, when you constantly talk about them, that that is when things start to get out of control. Because also, what I've noticed is the more you respond to hate, the more people think that that is how they should treat people to get a response. Some people just want a response, right? And if you don't allow them to fill that space, or if they see through your mentions and how you talk about people and talk to people, they see the kind of kindness you're bringing to the conversation, even when you're stressed, you know, they will more than likely either A, leave you alone because they know they're not getting shit out of you. Okay. They're not getting anything from you. They're going to be like, oh, well, it's not worth the energy because this is a lot of work. Um, or they'll keep going. That does happen. Um, or they'll even be like, oh, maybe this is how I should respond. We don't always know who these people are. Sometimes we do. And that's when you have to set the boundaries, have private conversations, and then after that, you just don't respond, don't talk about them if it keeps going. That's just how it has to be. You set that boundary, that's what it is. So I just really recommend if you're a content creator or a journalist, really applying that to your life. Um, really anyone in general. But when it comes to content creating and being a journalist, you will see that a lot. People will come for you. They won't even care. You'll say something about like, oh, I can't believe he turned the puck over in the neutral zone. And someone will be like, well, at least he doesn't have a double chin and four eyes. And I'm like, I didn't say anything bad. He literally turned it over in the neutral zone in overtime, and another team scored. And I said, I can't believe that happened. Like, it's fine. Why are you taking it so personally? um, and you're going to see that a lot. People will look at what you have to say and then equate it to your looks. I used to get a lot of people be like, well, you don't know because you're a woman. And I stopped responding to them and only started responding to the people who were supporting women. Um, in the sense of like they didn't care if you were a woman or not. They were just like, give me the goods, give me the information, give me the news. um, because the more I responded to people who were like, oh, are only in sports because they're a puck bunny or because they want to date players. Um, the more I responded to that and was like, no, I've wanted to do this my whole life. The more they were like, yeah, sure. So you've always been a puck bunny. Like they're ready to go. They are ready to go. And we are here to shoot them down. Okay. Either by not talking to them, not acknowledging them, or acknowledging it and going about our business and finding five beautiful people to tell that they are beautiful. So please, please trust me. It will change your life right away. It might not because it does take time. Reframing your mind and how it works and how you view things. It takes time, so be patient with yourself, but give it a try and see what happens. Um, all right. So I hope that you guys can start applying this to your life, baby steps, little by little, maybe like a 1 for 1. If you respond, 1 negative, 1 positive, move it up to the 1 for 2, then start moving it up until you get 5 for 1. Baby steps. You can't, they say that Rome wasn't built in a day. I wasn't alive back then, but I believe that it would take a long time to build Rome. But yeah, be patient with yourself. Making changes to your life is hard. It's not easy. Change is not easy. You gotta stick with it. And it takes around like 28 days to make a habit stick. So every time you don't make it to the 28 days when you're first making a habit, you gotta kind of start over. So be patient with yourself. It might take you months, it might take years, but you know, it's worth it. It's worth the work. So also, I just kind of want to give some other, I don't know, housekeeping. Is that what we would call it? I don't know. Little, I guess, various sundries about the pod. One, I would absolutely love it if you like something that I wrote or I put on Spotify or YouTube, TikTok, any of those. I would love it if you shared them. I am, now I'm my own boss at this job. I own my own company, and there is not money coming in right now. And there won't be because I said in the first year and a half, maybe two, I wasn't really going to go branch out and try and find money for this. I was going to create the content, focus on getting people what they need, and then from there, going from there and seeing what, if I could get like sponsors, how this could work. Maybe I could just win the lottery and be rich and go from there. I don't know. Um, right now everything is very loose on this. I do have outlines. I do have roadmaps. I did talk about that in another episode of the content creating in journalist. So I did talk about that. You do need to have a roadmap. And I do have roadmaps. I have multiple roadmaps for this though, because this could go various different ways from having to be subscription only or doing Patreon, having local sponsors. I'm not sure yet. We're kind of going through it and figuring out what works best for the people who listen to me the most, who read me the most, all of those things. But if you like it, please share it. um, and if you don't like it, I mean, you can tell me. I will listen. Um, maybe don't roast me online. That'd be nice. And um, so there's also two things I'm going to be also integrating into the podcast now. Um, I realized um, earlier last week that, and through my recovery, I've been realizing that there are pieces of me that are missing, like my core, my very core, my foundation. I'm not the same. And one of those things really hit me um, after I interviewed Rocco Grimaldi was that I am not on fire for my faith anymore. I am very lukewarm. Um, but I used to be so on fire. I used to be so excited to talk about my religion, to talk about Christianity, to talk about God. And that's not my personality anymore. And that's wild because, like, that has been my whole personality, my whole life. That is my core. When Jerry Faust died, I thought about how when I became Catholic, he really supported that. And how he was the first person I ever prayed the rosary with when I became Catholic, and how involved I was in the Catholic Church. And I was like, wow, this is weird. Maybe I'm just kind of making that up. Maybe I'm just overanalyzing myself, right? And then about a week after that, I was interviewing Rocco Grimaldi, and he was talking about how it was tough going through his injury recovery. Short injury recovery, but it was tough because he hadn't been injured in 2 years, right? He hadn't missed a game in 2 seasons. Comes to Cleveland Monsters, gets hurt game two, and that was it. Like, we didn't see him for a few games. And I asked him how he stayed, mentally prepared and how he was able to work through that tough. And he was like, my faith is my rock. Without even thinking, without even hesitating. He just said, my faith is my rock. And he went on and he talked in depth about it. I'm writing an article about it, so check that out later. But he went in depth about it. And I was sitting there and I was like, I was him once. Once I was him. When I first started covering the monsters, I sought out Brad Thiessen to talk about his faith and write an article on it. And then I continued to bring it up in post games with him about his helmet and what verse did he have on this year. And I would pray with actual fans in the stadium whenever. And there were players on other teams, not the monsters, but other teams who we would text or DM Bible verses to just like meditate on game day. And at some point I lost that. At some point I lost that. And I need to find it again. So there's two things I'm doing. Is one, every Saturday I am carving out 30 minutes to pray for people that are not just me. So I'm not doing this on the podcast. So I feel like that would be a little awkward at first. And that's not my jam. Because what I'm asking is if people need something to be prayed for or want, they can be specific or just say a special intention. I would love, and I'm going to put this reminder in every single episode, I would love for you to email me at gracedbyrainpod@gmail.com. And I would love for you to send me your intentions, whether it be special and you don't tell me what it is, or it's specific. I would love that. I would love my email to be full of those. And I want to start dedicating a day of my life to serving others. And I know I have to do baby steps. So right now that baby step is 30 minutes on Saturdays mornings. I will sit in prayer for those who reach out to me during the week, asking for me to pray for them, or for their special intention, or for a friend, or for their job, or whatever they need or want. I want to do that. That is how I want to start serving through my faith. Little by little, eventually we'll get to a full day, and I don't know what that will look like yet, but God will guide me there. Secondly, this book, The Catholic Hipster Handbook by Tommy Tighe, really set me on a blaze even more when I was younger. So I'm diving right back into that book. It's there's little chapters written by different contributors about different saints, forgotten prayers, and like other random stuff in the Catholic Church. And I'm going to start doing that again. So eventually I will be integrating this into other podcast episodes. Like I said, slow and steady, not trying to overwhelm myself, but you will see me start talking more about my Catholic faith in episodes, not in these ones about content creating, but you will see special episodes where I talk about this. And if you are a contributor to this book, or you have read this book, or you're going to read it, I would love to have you on to discuss your favorite passage or section, or even the one that you contributed to. Because I think it would be really cool to get that other insight as well into it. So that is what I'm going to be doing on Monday, this coming Monday, the 25th of November. I will be dropping another episode of The Beauty of Huron. I think we're on like episode 3 now of that. So those will be back consistently again as well. The content creator and journalist that one will be a little bit more sporadic as I find things or people, want advice, or if I can get other journalists on eventually, we will do that. But that one's going to be more of a slow burn. The Furin one, I've already recorded a few more of those episodes, and I really want to get those out more because there's other things I want to talk about. There's so much beauty that I've been starting to see again, and I want to share that with people because that was the whole point of this podcast, right? Was to share the beauty in life and not in the big ways, even in the small ways. So sorry that this one's a little bit longer. I know I was trying to cut it down here. I knew this first one back from surgery would be a little bit longer, but as we know, moving forward, they're gonna be like 30 minutes and under. That's my goal for the rest of them. Some of them are gonna be like 15 minutes tops. We'll just see how that goes. But I did want um, just make sure that I covered all of that in this episode. And just also to let you guys know I love you all. And I appreciate those um, who stuck around despite this break, another break. Hopefully we won't be, hopefully there won't be many more breaks in the future. So other than the summer break that I take. So I look forward to seeing you all back here on Monday to talk about Furin. So enjoy your weekend, ladies and gentlemen. And remember to be kind and love always.